Forget everything you thought you knew about the real estate market here in Bellingham. 2025 didn't follow any of the rules, and this is exactly why this matters heading into 2026. I've been watching the Bellingham real estate market my whole entire career, and this was the year that the power finally shifted. So in this video, I'm gonna break down what had happened in 2025 locally here in our market and what to look for here in 2026. Hey everyone, this is Aldo here with the Levain Real Estate Team, a local realtor here in Bellingham and Whatcom County. I'm gonna break down the numbers of what happened in 2025, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more in depth of what we're thinking in 2026 and how that power really shifted in 2025. So the average sold price here in Bellingham was $863,000, where last year it was $874,000. So pretty much the damn near same. Yeah, it dropped by $10,000 or whatnot, but that's really, really good. So everything has stayed steady here in Bellingham. Now for inventory, we did see an increase of about 33% for the average on the whole entire year. Were there some months that was less? Yes, but in the peak of things, spring through summer, we saw the most amount of inventory that we have seen in Bellingham and Whatcom County since I've started real estate back in 2016. Now, the average days on market, or how long it took for somebody to sell their house in 2024, was around 29 days. In 2025, that increased up to 38 days. Now, that might not seem a lot, but that's still an increase of about 20%. So we did see homes staying on the market a lot longer. There was probably a few months where the average days on market was over 40 days, around 42 days, which is quite a bit when we're coming from years where it was taking 15, 18, even 20 days to sell in a much higher competitive market. So in 2024, we saw 758 homes that have actually sold. And in 2025, last year, we saw 790 homes that sold. So that's an increase of 4%. So we saw an increase of 4%. Interest rates on average in 2024 was around 6.8%. In 2025, it was right around 6.2%. In that last quarter of 2025, we saw the average right about 6%. So for interest rates still being rather higher than the last couple of years, but somewhat lower and traditionally over the last 30 years, we saw more sales and we saw that Bellingham market stay pretty easy. Now, a lot of you are thinking, and this is where the beginning I was saying that Bellingham wasn't following the rules. And in a lot of markets, most markets, we saw a massive dip. It could have been 5, 10, even 20% in decrease of sale price. But in Bellingham, which is very common, especially because we're in a smaller market, when we see Seattle jump in appreciation of 20 or 30%, Bellingham is probably gonna be 10, 15%. Where we see a decrease again in Seattle of 20% or 10. If that does happen, we're seeing Bellingham maybe decrease by only a couple percent. So we're really protected here in our area. Yes, do we have a good appreciation compared to some other smaller markets? Yes, but we also don't decrease like we've seen in like Southwest Florida, Arizona, or some other parts of the country, which is really great. So if you're looking at buying here, just know, yeah, you might have bought a house for $700,000 in 2024. It's still worth $700,000 in 2025, which in my opinion is, yeah, obviously you didn't gain any appreciation, but you still haven't decreased in appreciation, which is, I believe, a win in this sort of market. Now in 2024, the list to sale price ratio was about 99%. And in 2025, it was about 98%. So what does that mean? Essentially, you're selling your house for an average about 2% less than what you actually listed your house for. The average home, like I said, is $863,000. That's average sold. So the average that was listed was probably somewhere around $880,000, which again, in this market is a big win. Now, for those of you that are looking at buying and it's not in Bellingham, Whatcom County, let me spit off some of these numbers here for you. So the average sold price was $693,000, which is down only $3,000 from 2024 from $696,000, which again, strong. Inventory, though, was much higher in Whatcom County than it was here in Bellingham. We saw an increase of about 40% of inventory. So we have 40% more homes on average throughout the year in 2025 than we did in 2024. Now, I know I didn't get this stat here for Bellingham, but for all of Whatcom County in 2024, we saw 2,427 homes that were actually sold. And in 2025, we actually saw an increase of 4 houses, which was 2,431 houses that actually sold here in our area. So that was a slight increase. The days on market went from 42 homes in Whatcom County, that's the average, up to 51. And so that's the days on market. Again, almost 2 months. That's the average, how long it took for a house to sell in Whatcom County and not in Bellingham. Now, the average list to sale price ratio was about 97.5 in 2024, and in 2025 was about 96%. So a little bit more of a decrease. So again, though, when you're talking about 100 to 96, we saw, especially if you're looking at it 3-4 years ago, on average, if you're gonna list your home or you're gonna sell it for about 4% less than what you actually list it for. So $1 million, you're gonna be selling it for $960,000 on average. Again, depending where you're gonna sell, that could still be 99 or 100%, or it could be 93, 94%, depending on the area, how long it's been on the market. So if you're looking at buying a house or selling a house here in 2026, what does all this information mean to you? So what we saw in 2025, we saw obviously a lot more inventory, homes staying on the market longer, and really what it comes down to, if you have been watching any of my last market reports, sellers thought it was 2021 and buyers thought it was 2008 all over again. And that was further from the truth on both sides. So if you're looking at selling your house, you have to be realistic and figure out what's going on in the market here locally in Bellingham and Whatcom County, and using data to support what your home is worth. Just because your neighbor sold for $800,000 and everything was updated in there, but you think yours is worth the same, if not more, that doesn't fly in today's age. Maybe back in 2017, 2018, but now the internet's too powerful. There's data everywhere. It's just not going to happen. Majority of the houses that sat on the market and are still currently sitting on the market are the ones that are just heavily overpriced and are not realistic on what their home value is worth. I get it. I have a house too. I have 2 houses. Do I think it's worth more than what maybe somebody's willing to pay for it? Or do I own anything that I think is worth more than than it's actually worth? Most likely, yes. We're natural, we're humans, that's the case. When it comes to selling your house though, a quick sale doesn't always mean a realtor wants a commission. So keep that in mind. It's just a quick sale. The faster you sell your house, data shows, the more money you're gonna actually get for your home. The longer it stays on the market, the less money you're gonna get for your house. Now, for those of you that are looking at buying a house, you're gonna have options as you did in 2025. You're gonna be able to look at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 houses over the course of a week to maybe 3 weeks. Again, this goes with a big asterisk that if you're looking at some core neighborhoods here in Bellingham or in Whatcom County, you could have to make a rather quick decision, especially if we're getting closer into the spring and summer months. The Columbia neighborhood, South Hill, those things are gonna be gone within days, especially if they're priced right. Now, there's gonna be some other areas in some pockets of Bellingham, Whatcom County where you will have a lot of time. So for you guys, make sure you're still getting pre-approved. Make sure you're still figuring out what you're wanting. In this market, the most dangerous thing for you buyers is having too much inventory. So you're gonna have analysis paralysis. You're just gonna have too many options. You're gonna overthink things. So be careful when you're out there looking at houses. Make sure you're not going and looking at things that in Bellingham, then you go to Blaine, and then you go to Everson. You gotta narrow it down. Yes, you have time, but pick your top 1 or 2 locations and get after it. So by the time this video is being released, it's February 2026. If you're not buying something and you have the ability of buying a house in the next 2 to maybe 3 months, you're gonna make a big mistake, especially for those of you that are already kind of capped at a certain price range, because right now, people are sleeping, it's cold, it's wet, people aren't going to go out there and look at houses, but this is the time that you can capitalize on some deals out there in the market time. Don't come back to me in May or June and tell me that things are overpriced and you're getting into bidding wars. Can that happen? Yes. Will it happen? In some parts, in some areas. So the next couple of months will be crucial. So if you are looking at buying a house, reach out to me today. It doesn't matter if you're not living here quite yet or wherever you're at. If you're ready and you know you're ready, let's get you pre-approved. Let's get going on the buying process. So if you're living here in Bellingham, let me know down in the comments. Do you think our market is going to be better? Do you think our market's going to be worse? In my predictions, I think home prices might appreciate 1 to 2% maybe. I think we're going to see more buyers out in the marketplace here this year as well. And I just think that people are starting to get used to the interest rates. These interest rates aren't going to fall much lower than 6%, maybe a 5.8 and then bounce back up. You'll be able to buy it down to probably like a 5.75. Obviously going to cost you some money, but for the actual standard interest rate, you're gonna probably stick around that 6%. So let me know what you guys think. I wanna know if you guys are optimistic about it or if you still think the market's gonna crash, since I've been hearing that for 10 years. Eventually, will it? Probably in 50 years, and those same people are gonna tell me, I told you so. Anyways, guys, my name is Aldo. I'm here with the Levain Real Estate team with Windermere in Bellingham and Whatcom County. So if you're moving to the area, reach out to us. My cell phone number is down below. That's my personal cell phone number. So if you call or text me, I get it right here in the palm of my hands once I get it out of my pocket. So again, reach out to us, guys. I love to help you out. I make these videos for you, and we've helped dozens of people buy a house that we're relocating here to Bellingham. But if you're already here, reach out as well. So once again, guys, my name is Aldo, and we'll see you next time.